well, that you're staying home, that you're staying safe and especially healthy. Not just you, but also your family and friends. Considering this current situation of quarantine and this whole chaos involved with this, there's so many worries and hopes involved, new learnings about ourselves, about our attitude and mental state, how it influences our overall well-being, our productivity, as well as our happiness. My Five Senses Experience podcast is not only about what we see, what we hear, smell, touch, or what we taste. It is also about self-awareness, about consciousness, and about mental well-being. For this, I have three wonderful guests with me today. So there's Sigrid from the Netherlands, Amber from Germany, and Sara from New York. By the way, if you've been following along for a bit, it's not the same Sara as we had with us a couple of shows ago. So this is a different one, actually. Welcome to the show today. So today's episode is an open discussion. All we want to do is to be pure, to be real, and to talk about the role of self-awareness in this absolute crazy time. How do we deal with this? What did we learn, and what do we hope to take away for the future? I'm Kat, passionist, and I'm a current advocate of social distancing. Thank you so much for tuning into my Five Senses Experience podcast, and I really hope that this episode brings a bit of positivity. But before we dive into it, why don't we just briefly start by introducing yourselves?
Okay, well, I'm Sigrid. I'm a 23-year-old university business student, and I'm living in the Netherlands, as Kat said.
Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Amber. I'm 20 years old and I'm from Cologne in Germany. I'm a psychology student.
Amazing. And then we got Sara.
Hi, I'm 25. I'm Sara. I'm living in New York City and I'm working for Thursday Boot Company. It's a fashion footwear company, and it's my dream. So it's going good.
Perfect. So how is everyone feeling? How are you guys spending quarantine so far?
I'm actually very relaxed because I'm not really doing that much. I'm just like waking up and do whatever I feel at the moment. But I think I kind of need it because it like lifts off the pressure of things that you thought were so important because that was your day-to-day life. And now they're gone and you're like, okay, they're actually not that important compared to other things. So yeah, I really like it.
So how's it in the Netherlands? Everything's on lockdown?
Well, they keep calling it quarantine because they don't want to be like in a complete lockdown, but the supermarkets are open. The stores are still open, but we all have like these crazy lines and like disinfected carriages and I don't know. But yeah, you're not allowed to go outside in groups because then you get fines.
I'm just spending most of my time on uni stuff. And I'm so much outside. I'm so fortunate that I live near the forest and that the weather here in Germany is so good at the moment. So I just keep walking by myself or with my boyfriend through the forest and uni stuff and enjoying the sun in the garden and everything.
I must say the sun really helps.
Yeah, it really does. It makes everything happier and not as bad as it really is at the moment.
Right. How are you feeling, Sara?
I'm feeling better now, for sure. I think I was definitely taking it really hard at first, just because New York shut down so fast. Like, it was crazy. Like, my boss and I were talking about what was going on, like, a few days before our office closed, and she and I, we're not laughing about it, but she had a friend who was taking extra precaution and was super worried about everything happening with the virus. And then it was crazy because the friend's CEO got it, and so like her whole office was like potentially exposed, and my boss and I were like, oh, like if you think that it's like so bad and you think that things are going to happen to you, like it kind of not prompts it, but it's something that like you're so aware of it, you're so afraid of it, so we feel like that like energy can like bring it to you in a way. And so like when she and I were talking about that, we were just like being very casual about it. The next day when we went into the office, like she looked at me and she was like, hey, we're closing the office tomorrow. And I think it started to like be real that day, because that's when the whole city started to go in lockdown. And then I think why it was so hard for me, especially the first week, was because I need to be better about like following world news in general, but I wasn't like really aware of like how severe it was happening like across the globe so quickly, the shutdowns and everything. And my roommate, he is really informed, and he listens to Maddow and all these good like all these good news sources. And so he had been following it since it started in China. And so he was like preparing our house, like he was getting like sanitation wipes, and like he was like getting gloves, like he had his like face mask, he had everything before it sold out and everything. And what I realized that I took it so like it was so sudden for me was just because I wasn't like paying enough attention to it. And so it was so much all at once. Like it was just like it shut down. Then we had our mayor was going to do like a shut-in, like a complete shut-in, like not let anyone leave their houses like for 48 hours and everything. And so like there was just like so much that I was trying to like struggle with this like new reality of spending all this time in my like tiny New York apartment. I mean, it's not that small, but it feels really small in comparison. And like I'm extremely an extrovert, and so like I literally have to see people all the time, and I'm like never home. Like I just come home to sleep. And so it was just a huge adjustment, especially that first week. And I was sad every day. But then one day I talked to Kat, and that was the day that I got out of it. I was like starting to feel better. It was really good. It was just like a better day. I like got some sleep the night before. I think I was forgetting to sleep a little bit because I was like so nervous, about everything happening. But sleep helps a lot. And sunshine, like Amber said, that is the best. I love sunshine. It's been nice the past few days in Brooklyn, so that's been beautiful. And like Sigrid said, a lot of my friends were saying too, like it's kind of like this time that you can slow down. Like you don't have to worry about so many things that are supposed to be happening or where you're supposed to be or things you're supposed to be doing. Like you can kind of take a beat to take care of yourself and take a beat to like be with you for a moment, which I think is really valuable. That's something that I've been like working on, is like just being present like in myself and like just kind of doing like daily things like cooking. I never do that. So that's been nice too.
I'm glad you're feeling better, because I remember we talked, when was it, last week or the week before or so?
Yeah.
And I know that you really didn't feel well and you were really struggling with this whole quarantine situation. And I was like, so what could I do? Like, how could I help? And I feel like this was good, like just talking about it. And I know you're not the only one struggling with this one. So on the Instagram, actually, I asked this question, how the guys are feeling. And like they voted if they're feeling good, or I think one of the answers was, I'm done with this shit. And 78% said, I'm done with this shit. And I was all right. So that's pretty clear. But I love what you said about being an intro or an extrovert, because I think this really contributes to like how you perceive this whole situation, and also not just if you're an intro or extrovert, but also about your general mental state. Because I mean, even for you, there must be something what has changed mentally for your own attitude and your own mental well-being. Maybe Sigrid, you can tell more about that one, because for you it is like really also focusing on the spirituality and the positivity. But what do you think? What helps you getting through this in a positive way?
I think for me, it really helps, like, as I said, to like the pressure is off, and a lot of things that seemed important, they're really not important. So, and like coming back on the introvert extrovert, I think I'm an introverted extrovert. Like I always love to be around people, but I have certain times that it's like shut down and I really have to recharge like in complete isolation. So it's not like I'm uncomfortable by being by myself. And of course I have my family, but yeah, I really feel, which might sound a little all over the place, but I really feel like the earth is like pausing, like this is enough, because of course we're not really behaving that well compared to other beings living here. And I really think like I found this quote online, or like meme actually, which said it feels like planet Earth sends us to our rooms to like overthink what we did wrong. And I really feel that is what is happening now. And you hear a lot of people like who maybe usually used to hide behind being an extrovert, like being distracted all the time in some way. that are now being inside all the time with themselves only, and like having to confront themselves and like maybe insecurities or something. So I do not have any negative things about this quarantine. Of course, that a lot of people are like severely ill and dying, I know. But like for the rest of us, I think it's actually a really good time to like reflect and just be like, you don't have to do everything or anything at all, like all the time. Like this is something we put in our heads, and like, yeah, you have to be successful before 25. You have to have this, you have to have that. I'm like, now that you're like just sitting still and just being, you're like actually rethinking all of those things that we put on ourselves, or like society put on ourselves. And as well with the jobs, like that's completely like stopped as well. And now you really see like the basic jobs that are the thing that keeps us going, instead of all the jobs that we made up or rules that we made up. So yeah.
Right. So like the things
What's on my mind?
Yeah. So the things that you said that we're kind of like, where you realize it's not that important, is like the jobs that we make. It is the pressure that we put on ourselves. It is the expectations from society and stuff. And what I actually think, it's also the whole drama and the, you know, the overthinking that we create, as well as the political issues, right? I mean, to be fair, during this whole time, there's so much which just, you know, drop out of importance or anything. And as you said, really focusing on the essential parts. Like if everyone is forced to stay home, spending time with themselves. Yeah. And I know that this is also for many the main struggle, right? Like,
yeah, that's why they're like unhappy or depressed, because this is not something they used to do. They used to run for it, and now they can't. And maybe like past traumas or something are popping up that they haven't dealt with. And yeah.
And even you're forced to slow down, like especially in New York or wherever, right? Like there's always a certain pace. And now that everything's closed, you got to stay home. And I know, like Amber, I think we talked this week or so, and you were like, "Oh, I'm so bored." At some point.
I am. I think the big problem that comes with all of this is that you're forced to stay home. And I think this can be a big problem for so many people who are, just like you said, Sigrid, who are not that content with themselves. And I think the fact that you're really forced, you can't do anything, just puts a big pressure on everybody's minds, or on the people that are already affected with or are dealing with depression and stuff like this, and mental health issues. I think that's a big problem everybody has to keep in mind, besides being positive and staying positive about the situation. But I think if this goes on for a longer time, all the positive aspects we have with finding yourself and just spending time by yourself, I think the problems will get bigger and bigger by time if we keep in our houses and can't, like, I mean, we all have the ability to just keep in touch with everybody and to keep our social activities in some sort of way. But just imagine someone who isn't capable of doing so, and maybe an elderly lady whose social contacts are based on a few weekly activities, and not her emotional state will suffer, but also her brain performance will decrease, because just like her senses are not as appealed as they used to be. And I think that's a big problem that comes with this self-quarantine and social distancing. Yeah, just stay positive, but keep in mind that there are so many people really suffering at this time. And I think that's an important point too.
I like what you said about the mental state, because it's, I mean, not every one of us is spending 24/7 outside, right? Like we're all spending time at home. We all have time where we're not around people, but with ourselves. But just the mental state of thinking of like, I have to stay home and I cannot go out. You can go for a walk in the nature and that's about it. But the mental state in your own way of thinking of like, I gotta stay home. I cannot go out, and I don't know for how long. I think this is what affects most people actually, right? That your freedom is sort of taken away from you, and everything we took for granted, we now face that it is not as granted, or it isn't always there as we thought it is. And I think the other part about the social context, like, to be fair, I'm pretty impressed by how everyone's connected. And I always, having friends around the world, what it's like, right? But especially in this time, how everyone cares for each other and how people call each other, and all these apps popping up, and like Zoom and Hangouts and business working online. It's great, but it does not replace the physical connection. And I know that, for example, Sarah, you really struggled with that one, not being able to hug your friends or not having this like personal or interpersonal love. And like, this can not be replaced by any online discussion.
Yeah, definitely. It was crazy. Like even last night, like I called my friend Michelle, and I haven't seen her in like a little while. So that's definitely a positive that's coming out of this, is that I'm getting to catch up with friends that I haven't talked to in a long time, which has been so good. But literally we started FaceTiming and we were like, I wish I could hug you. Like we were just like, I don't know. That's always what my friends and I do when we see each other, because we just like miss each other or like love each other. And so we want to like embrace, you just want to say hi in the way that you're used to. And yeah, Kat, like, I don't know. Also, like what Amber was saying, like, I think it was so crazy, like, for, like, my first week, like, just, like, dealing with all of it, getting, like, used to this, just because I don't ever spend time, like, by myself or, like, at home. And one of my best friends, she's always like, you need to get over, like, this thing that you get afraid when you're by yourself, or don't like spending time when you're by yourself. Because I always, like, she knows that I used to live with her, and I, like, never spend more than 4 hours, like, by myself. Like, that's the most that I feel like content, just because I feel like Sigrid said, like, she's an introverted extrovert. Like, I'm an extrovert. Like, I just really just want to be around people all the time. And I also had talked to one of my other friends, like Sophia, and like she and I discussed and found out that like really like the way that like in some ways introverts feel recharged by like being isolated, Sigrid, like you said, like being at home, like being in like your own space. Like I realized that like when I don't like talk to enough people like per day, like I feel like tired, like I feel like kind of like sad, like I just like don't feel like very good. And so like even now, like I schedule like at least 2 calls a day like with friends, and like at least 2 like FaceTimes a day. Like I just like have to be like talking to people all the time. And once I even like do that, like it's crazy. Like I'll have a good conversation with my friend, and then I can write and I can read and I can clean my house. Like I'm like so motivated like right after I'm able to talk to someone like that. So
it's so good that you found your way of, staying positive and how this lifts you up. Because I have to say this whole structuring and, scheduling your day is pretty essential, because I can tell when I wake up in the morning and I have a to-do list, but without a clear structure, I'm staying in my pajamas or yoga pants all day, and that's about it. And then you put yourself into this like, I could have a nap now. Like if you really structure it, and if you get the help of others as well to uplift yourself, it's a really good way, I guess.
Yeah. And I am lucky enough to still have my job, so that's been really lucky. So I've been working every day, and so that's a super good structure. Just because like I'm online, like getting stuff done like most of the day. So actually like I feel kind of lucky for that, because then like my free time is still like precious, I guess, kind of, just because I'm like all day like doing things. And so once I get off, like I'm like happy to get to go for a walk and talk to my friends, and then like watch movies and stuff. So I think that's been really nice for me too, like having stuff I have to get done. And then getting to enjoy time.
Because millions of people lost their jobs. So that's another downside, I guess, of this whole quarantine, is the mental awareness of like losing your job but not being able to do anything, and knowing that you're in a situation where, you don't know when this will change, and that there's so much competition right now and everyone's sitting in the same boat that, there's not much you can do about it. So I guess especially that just adds to the whole drama and like the mental well or unwell being.
Yeah, so 6.6 million people so far have applied for unemployment in the U.S.
That's ridiculous.
Like, that's so many. And like a bunch of my friends are, because they're in the service industry. So I think maybe that's also having to do with some of my sadnesses around all of this, is just like feeling for all of my friends and like so many people so close to me, like experiencing so many bad things. Like they didn't know how they were going to pay their rent like this month. And like my lease was expiring with my roommates and I. So we've been talking about whether or not we should re-sign it. Basically, We're not. And we're just paying month to month and seeing how that happens. happens.
Right.
But like so many crazy stressors that you just like have to deal with every day.
Totally. So you already said that social networks helped you improving your mental well-being. I'm so happy to see you in a better mood now, because like 1 or 2 weeks ago, to be honest, I was really worried. And that's why I checked in with you again. So I'm really excited for that one. But despite the social networks, what else is it for you guys that you think helps you up to boost your mood to get through this one? I know that some people are getting really creative these days, taking time for craft work, for cooking or anything, doing things they haven't done before. Is there anything what you're doing out of this time?
Well, it's not very, very different than what I usually do in my free time. But now I do feel like it is really an opportunity to like go inwards, as I said before. So I'm like watching documentaries about spirituality or like manifestation and stuff, and like keeping it positive. Because a thing that I have learned is if you don't like watch yourself, you really easily as a human being take over like energy of others. And that's I think a big influence which is happening now, that a lot of people like get anxious or like sad because everyone is, and the media is, and everything that you now see, and like the stress adds up with the jobs, unemployment, everything like that. So I'm like really trying to stay positive and look more into that, like the reasons and where it comes from. And because actually, if you think about it, we always have viruses or things like the existence of the world, like it always happens. It even happens with like animals or stuff, like it's always here. But because we're so like developed, I think compared to other beings, like we're making it such a big deal because we're so used to a structure, and now the structure is gone and we're forced to do all these things, and like it's a complete flip over. So we're like stressed and anxious, and I don't know. I think we're over exaggerating.
I guess it's a different dimension because there's viruses before already, but it's just you're not really aware of it. Like you hear about it, but it's just not affecting every single human being in this world of like being forced to stay home.
And I think the media this time is like really hands on to it, like keeping track of the numbers. And I heard they were like not being very honest with numbers. Like, for example, in America, I heard, I'm not sure here, probably not either. But like, it's getting really annoyed if you like look with a detached outlook on that. And you're like, if you are in a very stressed like mood or headspace already, and you're just turning on your TV, everything is about Corona. Everything is like death, and even young people now. It just adds up, and I don't know.
Totally.
Yeah, like it's all scare tactics. I agree with you. Like how so much of it like makes it worse. Like anytime that I call my dad and I'm like worried about stuff, he's like, stop watching the news. He was like, I mean, I don't watch it. It's just that I feel like I get trickle down because everyone's always talking about it. And like in New York with like the most cases, like it's like getting out of hand. I agree with you, Sigrid. Like I think it's way easier to just like be more aware of what you're hearing and try to like manage it that way. And so I really admire like that you're doing that. And like I'd love to hear which documentaries you're watching, like for your meditation and for your like inner peace and everything, because that's probably something that I need. So
well, actually, this is like a thing that I was like thinking about a lot, because I saw it, like you have these advertisements on social media, which are most of the time annoying. Unless you're like looking up for positive stuff, you get positive advertisements.
Yeah.
But I got this advertisement for like Gaia or something, which is like a spiritual Netflix. And my friend yesterday, she was like, oh, actually, have you ever heard of this? I just got like an account for it. Do you want to watch on my account for free? I was like, okay.
For sure.
So yeah, like stuff like that. But it's on YouTube a lot as well. Like if you just look it up.
Cool. Okay.
How's it for you, Amber? Anything new you've done? Anything, I don't know, trying new recipes or doing anything different?
I think it's quite hard to pull myself together to, like, there's so much stuff I want to do. I want to get creative and I want to try out new stuff and cook new recipes and everything. But just as I said, like pulling myself together is really, really hard at this point. I just, the first things I I'm just doing my university stuff and like doing the things I have to do. And after, I'm just, not that energized anymore. So I think, but what Sigrid said, I think it's a great way to just use it is and just to focus on myself. I think that's really important at this point. And I'm also trying to do this, but as I said, it's, I think it's hard at this time.
I gotta say, everyone makes it sound so easy, and like on Instagram, you see people like everyone's baking banana bread, like my whole Instagram.
I still want to do that though.
Me too. It's
everything's sold out.
I was actually looking up a recipe this morning because I was like, well, everyone's doing it. I gotta follow this trend. But people are taking time for things they haven't done in a while, like looking through their wardrobe, or like cooking something new, baking something different, or even enrolling in online classes. And to be fair, I did sign up for a couple of things, but I hadn't even had time yet to actually do it. So, I got this list at the beginning of quarantine of things I wanted to do, people I wanted to catch up with. And this list is still there. Not too much has been ticked off because it's still, this whole organization thing and work and like starting. It's not as easy to get it done and despite uni and motivating yourself as it sounds, to be fair. There was this quote actually I found today and it couldn't have been any better. It said, you're not working from home. You're actually at home during this crisis trying to work. And I was like, all right, that's on point.
Yes. Sorry, I do want to say this. You can probably you might have to cut it out because it's one of my favorite comedians. She posted it, but she was like, I don't want to stay inside and bake bread. She goes, I want to go outside and have sex. And I was like I feel that. So
imagine Tinder and stuff like that. Like you have to book your dates 2 weeks in advance or a month.
Oh, and also
exactly.
She was sending me screenshots that you get advertisements on Tinder and Hinge and whatever saying, online dating is a new thing now, so you can also date from home, stay isolated, so just go on an online date and FaceTime.
Yeah, like on Hinge, it literally says it's like 70% of daters say that they will FaceTime for a first date or something. I'm like, who took this poll? Like, that's too... so silly.
Surprises and everything. Is there anything that surprised you these days? Anything new you learned, or even about yourselves, about society?
Well, I did kind of want to mention this because you and I briefly talked about it, but I probably maybe got the virus because we don't have tests here in New York, so you can't go get tested. So I didn't know for sure, but I noticed last 2 Fridays ago that I couldn't really smell or taste anything, and I thought it was just really bad allergies because I had gone for a bike ride with my roommate, and he was like, "Oh my gosh, it smells so fragrant out here." Because in Bushwick and Brooklyn, all of our trees are blooming, all the cherry blossoms and magnolia trees, they look gorgeous. But he was like, the air is so fragrant. And I was like, what? I can't smell anything. And so I just thought I had some super bad spring allergies. And so then the next days, Saturday and Sunday, I could not smell or taste anything. And I've never had anything like that because I found myself trying really weird flavor combinations. I had some teriyaki chicken and then I put it in a tortilla with hummus, all these crazy flavors, to see if I could taste it. And it was nothing. I couldn't smell it. And I found myself eating stuff because I knew I was hungry. I'd eventually feel hungry, but nothing was satisfying to eat. It was just I would almost eat it and then I would feel a lump in my stomach, it was full. Whereas I realized normally when I'm eating things, I base a lot of how full I am based on flavor somehow. So when I'm super hungry and something tastes really, really good, I keep eating even past the point of being full because it tastes so good and I want to keep eating it. Whereas sometimes too, it's if my meal's not that good, I'll eat till I'm full, but I'll kind of stop because I'm tired of the flavor, tired of tasting it. And then I also noticed too that when I couldn't taste anything, I was imagining how things were tasting. I know what hummus tastes like. cake and I know how much I like it. And so I was like imagining like how tangy and sweet like it was supposed to be when I was eating it. And it was such a weird experience. I don't know. And like my friend too, he was like, thank God for texture. Like, because he was like, it's good that you can like taste based on texture, like things like feel different in your mouth, I guess, which was really interesting. But
Right.
and I realized I had like a few like body aches kind of, which is like, I guess those are symptoms of the virus. But finally I feel better. I like this whole week, like I was feeling like better, but not completely better. And I was like kind of feeling worried because I was like, it's been 2 weeks. But my friend Jenny was like, oh, like if you think about if you have the regular flu or virus, like sometimes it lasts 2 weeks. Like don't worry about it.
Right.
And today I feel much better. So
that's great. That's a great news.
Yeah.
I love what you're saying though, because I mean, obviously this podcast is called My Five Senses Experience. And I guess this is also the time to focus on the senses even more. So I guess the experience of not being able to taste something and not becoming aware of the flavor, right, is like a pretty decent thing, especially then once the taste and the flavor gets back, because you experience it differently.
Yes. I'm like so glad each day. Like literally like I had strawberries yesterday and I could taste them and I was like so excited. Like it was awesome. They tasted so good.
What I did actually, what was quite interesting is that I became aware of sounds at home I usually completely ignored. Like the most basic things.
Really?
And I was like, oh, what is this one? You know, that made me get curious. I was like, what is happening here? Like super basic sounds as the house is moving and stuff, whatever, right? But I was like, all right, so this is something different. How was it for you two? Anything you have discovered or anything different or whatsoever which changed during this time?
I think for me, like before, music was very important to me as well. But like now that you're forced to stay inside and you have to like lift yourself up sometimes, music is a really like big help for me. And I think like I'm like seeing stuff that I have never like paid attention to before, because I'm like in the same space, like your house and your garden, like all the time. You just like look around, you're like, oh, hey, I have never seen that flower, or I've never seen this in my house, didn't even know I had it. So yeah, that's like my experience with the senses.
Yeah, same with me. It's just, you just find stuff that you've never seen before, and I think that's quite interesting sometimes. I think like when I think of the future, I think we should all keep this in mind, and just when this all hopefully ends soon, that we can find these little things. So
yeah, I don't think it will go back to normal.
Never?
No, not like before this started, because I'm not sure. We're like, because of the importance of different things that we like figure out during this time, I think. So here in my country, for example, they were like cutting costs on like healthcare, and they were cutting costs on teachers. And I mean, if they would continue those laws, or like, I don't know how to call that, like those plans, I don't think it would be accepted. So I think there will be maybe a switch in appreciation of stuff, as you said, like the little things. I think that's for sure, but I think it will have a bigger impact than we maybe now think, because it will be implemented through the whole like country and society. So I think because now it's very like, you're so focused on success and like individualistic success, like you us as 20ers, we have like these huge goals that we want to accomplish for ourselves, but now we have to think of others. So it's like in ourselves a little mind switch, but as well, I'm not sure. Maybe we take care a little more of each other. I hope. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope so too. Just like what you had said earlier, Sigrid, too, like the different, or maybe Amber said it, like the difference in like jobs that are being like important now. Like it's like delivery drivers are so important, like grocery store workers, like we literally could not survive with like either of those like roles or jobs. Like, and like you said, like, oh, and for instance, like some Instagram models like are not as like important now. I mean, in some ways they are, because they're like producing content to keep people like entertained, which is like very interesting. But like other jobs, like my cousin, he lives in LA and he's in the fashion industry, and like he is like furloughed now because he like can't go in, you know, to like work on like projects and everything. And so like, it's so like different the ways that like everything is changing. My friend though, that she's in brewing, like she brews beer, like a craft brewery. And she's like, people have short memories though. And she was like, I was like, cause I was telling her, I was like, I feel like all these jobs are switching and being like more important. And she was like, we're going to like forget as soon as this is over, like how important the delivery drivers were and like how important our grocery store clerks were and how important like our food delivery people are. Like, I don't know. I hate that she's probably right, because it's just like, we appreciate them now because we live off of them. But like, it's so easy to kind of revert back, at least in America where everything sucks. But like, and people are so individualistic. Everyone is just like so about themselves. And I don't know, actually, truthfully, even during this talk, like I was listening to each of you and listening to myself, and like so many of the things that I've even talked about on this, like I'm like, I feel this and I this, and you are like thinking of like, I mean, Sigrid especially, like, oh, like what's happening in your community, and like, yeah, focusing on self, but in ways that like is going to benefit us in the future, and even the globe too, like thinking about the earth. And I don't know, I've seen things on that too, and I agree with you, like the amount of emissions that are like being like polluting are lowering because people aren't going anywhere, and I think that's really important. I think that's a cool thing that is coming out of this. But
I love seeing all these videos, of the nurses and doctors and being celebrated, and everyone's being on their balconies at 7, clapping their hands. People are music and stuff. Everyone's watching after the neighbors, making sure everyone's okay, and the whole level of solidarity. Like, to me, I'm totally impressed. Like, I've never felt more connected with the entire world than right now. I feel like we all in this together, literally, and we are, we're all the same. It doesn't matter what level in the society you have, where you're from. Like, in the end, we all stuck in this together, and we can only solve this together actually by looking after each other and by staying home. So I really love it. But I agree with you that the whole appreciation that we have right now for, think of all these millions of parents now appreciating their teachers' work even more, because homeschooling is but also I was watching this video, or it came up on my feed today on Instagram actually, and that was like about where nurses and doctors celebrated the cleaning staff. Because, for example, this is a group of society we tend to forget, but they do such an incredible and important job cleaning and sanitizing the hospitals, which is totally forgotten. And that's simply forgotten because they're not in the public image, or they're not in the forefront of a direct interaction. And I totally loved it, because those are the ones that keep being forgotten. But yeah, let's see. I guess it will show in the future what we make out of this one, and we can only take the benefits from it, and try not to fall back into old patterns of not appreciation or not appreciating the daily things. What are you looking forward to the most after this whole quarantine?
Traveling.
Yay.
For sure.
I guess once everything's open, everyone's gonna book like flights and everything like crazy.
Yeah, but the thing is, here it's still open, like inside the Schengen area.
Right.
You can still travel, and then the countries can decide for themselves. But it really just is like flatten the curve in the beginning, because this virus won't be gone when the rules are like gone. No.
Totally.
But yeah. Traveling. I really want a son.
Where do you want to go?
Well, first I want to go to my boyfriend in Sweden.
Yeah.
But I would love to, like, in maybe summer holiday, like be able to book a summer holiday and go somewhere new. But yeah, I don't think I'll do that yet. And
what
you?
are you looking forward to the most?
Just seeing everybody. Just everybody, also my grandparents, which I'm not able to see at the moment because we just rather keep distancing. Yeah, and I'm really looking forward just to do whatever I want, I think I will really appreciate all of the activities more than before. Yeah.
Definitely. I'm with Amber. Everything. I miss everything. But I think probably going out and dancing, like it's going to be so different. But I think just like Friday nights and Saturday nights, like I am so excited for that to happen again. Any night of Thursday, Wednesday. I don't know. Yeah.
I love it.
And I miss New York. Oh, go ahead.
What about you, Katrina?
Yeah, it's a good question actually. I think what I miss most is like the physical closeness to people, like being around people, going out, having a coffee in a really nice cafe, you know, with people chatting, and having back this freedom of freely moving around wherever I want to go, and being able to decide what I want to do and where I want to go, and not being ruled by any, you know, law or guidance or whatsoever. I love what you said about seeing the grandparents, because obviously right now, you know, this is something you should obviously not do. But this whole situation makes you become really creative. So last Sunday, my mom, she was like, oh, we should go see the grandparents. I was like, yeah, well, obviously we shouldn't. But what we did is that we went to my grandparents' house, took some chairs, and we literally sat 10 meters away in their garden while my grandparents sat on their bench in front of the house. And we did the same with my grandma. So we sat under her balcony, like she lives on the second floor, so nothing could have happened. We're like 10 meters apart. At least we could see each other, because obviously for the grandparents, being isolated is even worse. I mean, it's not that they're growing out all the time, but you know what I mean. So yeah, so that was actually really nice. That was quite cute.
That sounds good.
One thing I actually do during this time, because I mean, we're talking about things we learn and like things we're looking forward to and things we want to change about ourselves and our own appreciation. I really try to write some things down, like to journal during this time, because I feel like coming back to this one and being able to read it and how you feel and, you know, your resolutions and whatsoever can help for the future to get back and remember this feeling. Do you guys journal, or do you do anything during this time?
I had it in mind to like start doing it more, but I just figured out I'm not really that much of a writer. I think I'm more like a thinker, because like with school or stuff, I never plan stuff. Like if someone is giving me a planner and like an overview of what needs to be done, I won't do it.
Right.
And like same with journaling, if I'm like sitting down and I'm like, I might be overthinking it too much, or I just won't stop writing, I think.
But I mean,
it's like all in my head.
There's different ways of journaling though, because what I love about you is that you put all the spirituality quotes and stuff on your Insta stories, for example. So it's a different way of expressing your thoughts. It's just not writing it for yourself, but like, you know, you still collect content, and it's still something that comes from within, and, you know, that sort of represents your feelings.
Yeah, that's very true. And I think like, because I remember it better if I like am attracted to something, and it doesn't even have to be me writing it down, because I hear this argument from a lot of people like, yeah, just I write it from like off from me, like it gives me more peace or something like that. I don't know. I do that in my head. I think maybe I'm weird. I don't know.
I think that's a good idea, the journal, because the situation is so odd, and I think and I hope that we will never ever experience like a situation of this again. So in all of the signs that say stay home, like it's this one in a lifetime experience, and I think that's even more important to just keep it in mind, and also keep it in words and in pictures and in everything that is possible. Because we will never ever experience a situation like this again, hopefully.
Hopefully, fingers crossed.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah.
I mean, as you said, it's ridiculous. This is like literally history. I would never have thought to become part of history and a pandemic that I talked about with my great-grandchildren, whatever. To be fair, when this whole word pandemic came up, I was Googling it to make sure I get the full understanding, because I knew what it was. But like the whole outcome, I was like, pandemic, holy crap, this is like things you would never imagine to become true. How about you, Sarah? Anything helping, like, also through the process? Because what I love is like how you improved. Like literally, I'm impressed how this whole mental state of yours improved. Is there anything else which helped you through this one in terms of journaling or whatever?
I've been talking to my dad every day, so that I think has been super helpful. Yeah, I think it's been really wonderful for us to like kind of connect. I don't know. My friend and I had a journaling date, which was kind of fun. My friend Chanel and I, because we like have trouble, like she and I both are talkers, and so we have trouble like sitting down and like actually like getting some things down, and so that was really good. Like we like Zoom, like FaceTimed and stuff, and like worked on journaling together, and I found that really helpful. I'm actually like Sigrid, actually, like I think a lot. I think all the time about everything. Like I'm just like aware, and thoughts are swirling around. So I think that's like a lot of my self-reflection actually, is just like thinking about like what's going on in my experience. So Yes, lots of thinking.
I'm literally like, I'm really happy seeing the three of you seeing this so positive though, because I know that a lot of people are struggling. So I really love the positivity in here, and I really hope that everyone listening to this one gets a bit of a smile and, you know, sees the beauty, like not the beauty, but like the good sides of this whole thing, because there's so much to be grateful for. Like imagine this happening during Christmas, right? Like now is the right time. The climate, you know, it's the first time people get to see blue sky in China or like Korea or whatever. Like there's so much to be grateful for. The nature gets to breathe, people interact, people get in contact with their neighbors and everything. So I really love the way how you put yourself into positive mindset to get through this one in a really, you know, the best optimal way. I love this.
It shouldn't be underestimated though, because like seriously, if you said she was so different like a week ago, I'm not sure how you were, Sarah, but like it's very, very, very difficult, especially if you're a thinker and like you're overthinking everything, to get yourself out of there. Kinda, of course, would help maybe from others, but like you still have to do it yourself.
It requires so much work, and there's no one who can do it for you but yourself. If you if you don't want to do it, and if you then you can't do it. I believe you have to be willing to change it, because if you force yourself, you know, you're not free for doing anything. So, I mean, I don't want to exaggerate here, but I guess you can confirm yourself that you really improved the way on how you see it, and like seeing you smile is a different way than last week.
Oh, thank you. Yes.
Great. Thank you so much for being here today.
Yay. Thank you for having us. Thank you for having me.
So that was it. See? Easy.
Yay.
Yay. Anything fun?
I had a great time. Also great to meet you, Amber and Sigrid. It was so nice to hear from you.
It's really nice meeting new people during Corona.
Yeah.
I love how the three of you were so positive. Like seriously, I was like, all right, let's see how this goes, because the three of you have like really different come board into it. It's like last week to Sigrid being the spiritual. I was like, oh, let's see how this goes. But I really loved it.
Yay, I'm glad.
That was fun. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. To be honest, I found it truly inspiring to talk to the three girls, learning and hearing about their positivity and their positive mental state and mental well-being through this absolute crazy COVID-19 quarantine. Great learnings that we get from them is to watch yourself, to spend time with yourself and enjoy the time spent with your own thoughts. Journal, communicate, prioritize yourself and your mental health. You might focus on journaling, you might focus on the five senses, what you see, hear, smell, touch, and what you taste, and focus on the detail and really unwind. To see the positive in this quarantine and this difficult time, celebrate the solidarity. Celebrate that the climate and the planet gets to breathe, the togetherness and the interconnectedness that we're currently all experiencing. Celebrate the amazing people doing their jobs for us, like nurses. Take care of your social connections. You can even do it online, check in with your friends and make sure that you look after them and they would also look after you. Thank you so much for listening. I'd love if you could subscribe, if you follow us on Instagram and our social media. I'm super excited to hear about your ideas, what you would like to hear in this podcast, which topics we can cover. You might even want to become a podcast guest yourself. Please reach out to us either on our email, on our Instagram, or even here, I'm going to put it in the show notes. And most important, stay home, stay safe, stay healthy, and be grateful. Have a wonderful day. You got this.